We'll call the meeting to order now. You want to lead us in flag salute there, Mike?
Of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, would you like to come down and give us a couple of words of wisdom?
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you once again, thanking you for all the blessings you bestow upon us, and especially this time of year, Father, when you gave us your most precious gift in the form of your Son. We do thank you so much for that, Father. I ask that you be with the council tonight and the people in the community and the people in this building tonight, Lord, that you just keep peace and harmony amongst us all, and I just ask that you be with the council as they do the business of the city. And I thank you in your Son's most precious name. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Alvarez,
Here.
Councilmember Cabrera,
Here.
Councilmember Schultz,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Frida,
Here.
Mayor Chavez,
Here.
Mayor and Council, we have quorum.
Very good. This time, I guess there's no presentations and proclamation, oral communications items. Anybody wishing to speak on items on the agenda, please come on up. 3 minutes total, 3 minutes per speaker, 15 minutes total. State your name and address.
Alan Calco, 21930 Horse Avenue. I know you have a very full menu tonight, so I'll try to make it brief. On Resolution 104-2000 and Resolution 105-2000, I certainly think this is in the right direction. The 104 is to get grants from the state to help us with our code enforcement. I guess it'd be like a 3-year plan and about 50% matching funds, so I think that's in the right direction. We certainly need that. And 105 has to do with getting the city prosecutor, and I guess you're going to go with this step here, Rosenbilt and Letvik, which have a very good reputation and are, I guess they work in 30 other cities and have a very good track record. I was looking at your warrants and payroll, and I was kind of surprised to see that under the, I guess, under the recreation, under the powwow, under the special events, that I guess the dancers and the drummers were paid, that the dancers got $250 and the drummers got $500. And I was just wondering if that's normal when they do these powwows, that the participants are paid for doing that. So I noticed that, thought it was kind of curious, and if that's the regular thing that's done. Let's see. And on your consent calendar, item E1, I guess you guys are deciding that hopefully tonight you will approve to bring the dumpsters back to the streets, that you'll have every month you'll have a cleanup, and I guess this is going to start hopefully on January 20th, right around here, and then you'll move around the city, and within 1 year you'll have it all done. I think that's very good, and it's money well spent. And on item E3, the status of current recruitment of citywide positions, I'm glad to see that a lot of our laid-off employees have chosen to come back to work, and we've hired like 16 out of 26, and I guess the rest have found other avenues of employment. The one concern I have is I know that the Recreation Department has hired about 16 people. Where I think there's a real need for some additional positions is with Public Works. I know that you just hired 2 part-timers in Public Works, but I was talking to some of the guys on the crew, and they really need all the help they can get out there in the street. And if you could hire maybe another couple part-time people to take care of the graffiti, all the trash that we have constantly around the city, I think it would make their job quite a bit easier because they have their hands full. And certainly, I think Public Works should be just as much of a priority as the recreation in this community. If you don't have a nice-looking city, people don't think very much of it. So I hope that you'll pay attention to Public Works and hire as many people as necessary there. And finally, with the garage conversions, garage conversions are a problem. There's a lot of cars on the streets and stuff. Parking is at a premium. And I know that Mr. Alvarez will do the honorable thing and the proper thing, what's best for the community. And, I know you'll do the right thing tonight, and we need to take care of that problem. Thank you.
Kathy Navejas, 12327 East 223rd Street. After looking at the agenda, we can tell that there's definitely an election coming up in March. It's the first time that I've seen the mayor put items on the agenda for code enforcement issues. And I think you've started here a precedence of violations illegally being performed because of political reasons. And I think this is the worst thing that I've ever seen. And talking to some of the people as they're pulling papers for their candidacy in city council, they hand you this little yellow paper which says, sign this for some ethical cause that you'll perform in a professional manner. And the interesting thing is I threw the thing and said, you can throw that in the trash in Hawaiian Gardens. It is the biggest joke to even ask people to sign that, because there is such a low morale of integrity when it comes to some of the election procedures that have happened in the past. And I think the mayor's consideration on D2 and D3 is exactly where it begins, as low as you can go, Leonard. If you went any lower, you'd be on your stomach. There are so many things in this city that are major issues and major concerns to the poor people of this community. But because Mr. Alvarez has the guts to stand up, talk, speak on behalf of the community, and not afraid to stand up to Leonard Chidas, number one. Number two, not afraid to stand up to Dr. Moskowitz. He has been singly put on this agenda to be embarrassed in this city council. And this is directly because of an election. And I think there's attorneys out there that will protect people's rights. And I think if there's anything, people really need to look at the performance of the mayor and the behavior of the mayor and the integrity of the mayor. And I think it's a shame, Placido, that they did this to you. But it's okay. They're very threatened by you. So it's a compliment to your integrity. Thank you.
John Heckman, 12550 East Carson, space number 2. I find it somewhat amazing that a previous council person and previous mayor of this city comes up chiding the mayor and the city for doing what they were supposed to do, considering the fact she was one of the biggest offenders when she was in office, and going out and trying to work for other cities and what have you. So, one ought to consider the source when it comes to listening to certain people. The thing that's happening here is that this present council is doing more for this city than it's been done for years. And it's time that we realize that and work with them instead of against them. Thank you.
Anybody else for items on the agenda? If not, items not on the agenda, we have 3 minutes per speaker, 15 minutes total. Please state your name and address.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is George Franzi. My business address is Hunt Industrial Properties, 15962A, Downey Avenue, Paramount, California. I'm here this evening on behalf of one of my clients, Joe Van Huff, who is a absent out-of-state landlord. He lives in Springfield, Missouri. However, for many years he had his business here in the city. He owns the property where the Green Burrito is, Bears and Roses Flowers, TV Repair. We have one vacancy, and the astrologer. The reason I'm coming here tonight, and again, I didn't know what your agenda was, so it somewhat is an agenda, but I'm talking on one specific property. Basically, it's at Juan and Carson, 12008 Carson. And we have had a continuing problem with graffiti on the property. Basically, we have a painter that basically goes by the property, paints out the graffiti, and sends us a bill. And roughly right now, we're spending approximately $300 to $400 per quarter to paint out graffiti. He was just there yesterday. I went by this evening. We now have graffiti already on one of the back entry doors on the alley, and we have graffiti on the westerly wall. I also brought, and unfortunately my camera wasn't working correctly over the weekend, so my roll of pictures of the building I didn't get, but I was able to take some pictures of the graffiti that is on the public right-of-way that I believe attracts additional graffiti to our property. So we would ask that, one, there be enforcement in the area to try and find those responsible for the graffiti, and that the city take proper action to remove the graffiti from the public right-of-way, the sidewalks, the parking benches, signs, etc. Also, one of the units, we had the glass busted out 3 times, so unfortunately we had no alternative but to use board-up plywood. We have that unit where the thrift store was. We have a lease out for signature. However, we're waiting for the individual to get clearance and to go before the Planning Commission for a CUP, and as soon as his paperwork is presented, we will proceed in that manner. So again, I appreciate your consideration of these items, and I'd like to pass these on to the clerk for your future reference, and thank you very much. My card is there too. If I can be of any further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact our offices. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Alan Kelko, 21930 Horst Avenue. I too would like to concur that, the graffiti around the city seems to be getting worse, and that's why I mentioned earlier that maybe we need almost one part-time position that strictly deals with graffiti control. Get that stuff off as quickly as possible. Maybe that'll discourage these hooligans. I've been out, hitting the streets, talking to people, and people have asked me to mention these things to you. First thing, that at the intersection of Britain and Bellshire, I guess people are parking like right at the corner, and it's causing very, little visibility and almost accidents on a daily, almost near accidents on a daily basis. And I did go by there today, and I think you need to red zone that intersection so that the cars don't park right there and block the visibility. And I think that could be easily done, and hopefully, you'll prevent a serious accident from happening. Other people have asked me that they remember back in 1995 when we had Measure A that the casino promised to pay our trash bills, and so they look at the casino now, they see that it's doing pretty well, and so they want to know when their trash bills are going to start getting paid. So maybe, and they asked me to please remind you about that and see what we can do to remind them about the promise that they made to the community. One of our residents that I was talking to is mentioned that on Violetta and 221st, and this has been going on for decades, that the water settles right there, and you have this dirty, slimy water that is a health hazard, is a road hazard, it causes almost accidents, and wondering, is the city planning to do anything about that? I guess you need some kind of engineering, some kind of maybe a drainage or something put in there, but it's a serious problem that I don't think we can overlook anymore, and people are wondering if you're going to do anything about that. I'd like to thank Mr. Kim and all the seniors from the Hawaiian Terrace Apartments that who prepared the Korean Friendship Dinner on Sunday. They did a very nice job, and I think it's real important that all our cultures feel welcome here, and I know the city's trying very hard to do that. Last Wednesday, on December 6th, I went to a recreation meeting, and I suggested that, in a lot of cities, in the very tough neighborhoods, they have murals all over on the walls that increase the pride in the community, make people feel better about their neighborhoods, and certainly, especially south of 223rd, maybe that wall along 226th Street, we could come up with some murals that maybe will increase the pride and reduce the graffiti. When you drive around there, it looks very depressing, and we need to do something about that. If other cities can do this, Long Beach, Venice Beach, really tough neighborhoods, why can't Hawaiian Gardens do that? And finally, I'd just like to take a real brief moment to wish all of you on the council, the city staff, the sheriff's department, and all our residents, happy holidays, and, best wishes for a fantastic new year in 2001. And I'm confident that all of us working together can make this an all-American city that we're proud of, and that will be the shining star of southeastern Los Angeles County. Thank you.
Must be election time. Okay, go ahead.
Mary Corrales, 223 East 216th Street. Don't touch it. Thank you. Good evening. Alan coming up here, I think it would be a very nice suggestion, since every time he comes up, it's the same story. How about you guys have the 3 numbers to vote? Why don't you make him code enforcement and see what he can do? Maybe that would stop him from coming up here every meeting. Okay? And as far as what they're doing to you, Placido, I'm sorry about that. But they wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't an election time.
Anybody else? Seeing none, okay. Moving on to item A, no public hearings at this time. Ordinances under B1. Introduction of the first reading of ordinance 462 relating to establishing requirements for the development of urban stormwater runoff provisions. This is ordinance 462. And,
Make the motion.
Second.
I have a
On
motion and a
ordinance
second.
number 462.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the issue? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So ordered. Ordinance 460, I'm sorry, resolutions number 101, 2000, and 102, 2000. Request from Chiao Mei Development to approve an extension of time to construct a 10-unit condo project at 22015 Hawaiian Avenue. You have a staff report?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. You have a request here from Chow Mein Development, requesting an extension of time on the conditional use permit and variance that was approved for the 10-unit condominium project located at the northwest corner of Hawaiian Avenue and 221st Street. The applicant is requesting a 1-year extension. However, staff is recommending that the extension be granted until April 22nd, 2001, as that is the time when the parcel map would also expire, and at that time they would have to get a new extension if they plan to proceed with the 10-unit condominium project. The applicant is requesting the extension due to financial difficulties that have arisen from the project and is requesting that this be approved at this time. The applicant is here if you have any questions of him.
Joe,
Yes.
didn't we give them an extension earlier in the year?
Yes, there had been several extensions
what I
granted
thought.
on this project, and there are 2 separate projects, and so it appears that this item keeps coming back every time, but apparently they're gonna have some financial difficulties if they try to build both condominiums at the same time, so they wanna build one at a time, do the first 10 right at the corner of 221st and Hawaiian, and then when that completes and sells, then they wanna start building the other one, but the parcel map's gonna expire anyhow, so they're gonna have to get an extension. But it is up to the pleasure of the council if the time extension that you would want to grant.
But we have given them an extension before, right?
Yes.
So I thought-
Joe, can I ask you, do you know if they own the property?
Yes.
The land itself?
Yeah.
They own the land.
Right. They've already started doing some work out there with some grading and stuff like that. And there's also a parcel map on the next item that we will be discussing, which is the final map. So they will be starting construction with the first 10 units.
Have you
So-
talked to them about this extension to April 22, 2001?
Yes, they are aware of that.
It was earlier in the year we gave an extension of 6 months too, wasn't it?
Yes, it wasn't
Okay.
too long ago that it was extended.
What you're saying, Joe, is this is the
This,
last
this would
extension.
be the last extension, though, regardless what time frame would be given, as extensions can only be granted one time for CUP or variance. Unlike a parcel map, they've got 5 years. However, the extension, I believe, is to, will expire on April 22nd, 2001, and at that time, they will most likely attempt to obtain another extension till 2002, I believe.
How many extensions can we give them?
On this request tonight, just one.
Yeah, but we did earlier in the year.
Right, it expired, and they reapplied for a brand-new conditional use permit and variance.
Okay, I make the motion
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
for the extension, 6 months extension.
Have a motion and a second.
Actually, it's
Six
the,
months?
it's the April
So that's what
22nd.
It's April
Oh,
22nd?
April
2001.
April
22nd,
22nd.
2001? Oh, okay.
Okay.
4.5 months.
Oh, 4.5 months, okay.
Any further discussion on the issue? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So ordered. That's on both, right?
Right.
All right. Okay, approval resolution 103, 2000, which is to approve a final track map.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. This is for the parcel map located at the northwest corner of Hawaiian and 221st Street. The city engineer has reviewed the map for accuracy, and staff is recommending that we approve the final map as it does comply with the subdivision ordinance, zoning ordinance, general plan, and other conditions of approval as mandated by the City Council. As part of the final map process, however, the applicant is requiring that the map be approved prior to the construction and completion of certain improvements, such as the widening of the street. And therefore, an undertaken agreement has been prepared by the city engineer, and they have posted the required bonds for those improvements, and I believe the finance department already has those funds. The staff is recommending approval of final map 52285.
I make the motion.
Motion
Resolution
approved.
103-2000. to
Second.
approve.
Second.
Any further discussion on the issue? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. So ordered. Under item 3, approval of resolution 104, 2000, to authorize submittal of a grant application for the Court Enforcement Incentive Program from the state of California. This is a resolution which will, let me see here, it would result in the submittal of a grant application and incurring of obligation, the execution of a grant agreement and any amendments thereto and any documents necessary to secure a CEIP grant from the state of California.
I make the motion to waive further reading and adopt Resolution 104-2000.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the issue? Seeing none,
Don't need it.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? So ordered. Approval of Resolution 105, 2000 to approve an agreement with the law offices of DePere, Rosenblit, and Litvak to contract for the city prosecutor services related to code enforcement.
Waive further reading and adopt Resolution 105-2000.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the issue? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. So ordered. Resolution 106, 2000. Resolution of the City of Hawaiian Gardens, State of California approving an agreement with Wildan to contract an engineering report for services for capital improvement projects funded through the Community Development Block Grant Fund program.
Make the motion to adopt
Second.
106-2000.
Have a motion and a second. Anybody want to discuss this issue? Seeing
No.
none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So ordered. Approval Resolution 107, 2000, to approve pre-issued warrants and regular warrants in the amount of $233,049.45.
I make the motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Anybody want to pick out anything over there?
No.
None? No further discussion on the issue?
None.
All those, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Cabrera,
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Schultz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frida,
Yes.
Mayor Chavez,
Yes.
motion carries.
Good. Under D1, consideration of request from the Community Development Department to participate in negotiation for the National Pollution Distribution and Elimination System. I guess is what it is, permit, right? And any NPDES.
National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. Just for clarification, on this request, what we're actually requesting is to authorize the city to continue in participate in the Coalition for Practical Regulation that's been spearheaded by the city of Signal Hill. Authorize the city administrator to sign the enclosed letter of interest with the city of Signal Hill, and that's attached. So by approving this, we would authorize the administrator to sign the letter of interest, and then also authorize a budget adjustment of $5,000 to fund this cost for this coalition, and we would be taking those funds from the planning department line item on the contract services, since we haven't done the zoning code yet. So we have the funds for this.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve participation in negotiation with, for the permit.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the issue? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So ordered. Item 2, consideration request from the mayor's office to discuss a garage conversion complaint located at 12309 Britton Street and owned by Maria Matias Alvarez. Can we have a staff report on this, the status of this garage conversion?
Yes, recently staff had visited the property on 12309 Brittain Street regarding a potential complaint of a garage conversion, and the code enforcement officer has gone out there and has verified that there is a garage conversion complaint. A letter has gone out today to invite them for a conference meeting for next week.
Now, how long ago was this complaint given?
This had been submitted, I don't have the exact date, but quite a long time, probably 6 months ago at least.
Okay, you know, our number one priority for those who are out there in the audience, our number one priority in dealing with code enforcement is garage conversions. Okay, excuse me.
How come council people
Excuse
did not get
me.
permits?
I'm sorry. We're conducting a meeting. Thank you. So our number one priority is garage conversions. There's substandard dwellings where people are allowed to live in a substandard dwelling. Many times landlords do these kinds of things either to rent their garages out in order to gain some monetary gain to do that. This city's been trying to do what it can to turn the tide on garage conversions, and we're going to continue to do that. Problem is that these particular garage conversions have been going on for quite some time, and I think we need to deal with them. And I don't think anybody should get any favored treatment because they sit on council or sit on a commission or sit on staff. Excuse me. This is not the time to blare out from the audience. You know, I'm going to tell you something. If you want to blare out, go outside and blare out, okay? But we're conducting a good meeting, and we can conduct even a better one probably without you. Okay? At any rate, that's my point. The point is that it doesn't look good when we are the body who's trying to to do many of these things to improve our city, and us as the body have the same complaints. We're hypocrites if we do that. And it's time that we try to straighten out our own backyards before we start pointing fingers at everybody else. So I want to make sure that our backyard's clean, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. This thing, some of these garage conversions have been going on for quite some time, and irregardless of who lived in them or what's happening, I know some of them are being used as rentals, but you know, it's time that they stop and that they get rectified. You have a letter that's gone out.
Yeah, Associate Planner has written a letter today inviting the property owners to schedule a conference meeting with with staff on December 20th at 3 o'clock p.m. And that's gone out today.
I'd like to ask Mr. Colombo, what's the normal procedure that you use, say somebody turns in a complaint about a garage conversion? What's the normal procedure that your office does?
Basically, if they come at the counter or if they phone it in, we fill out a form, and depending on what the complaint is, we route it to the appropriate department or person.
But can I ask you, is this the first time that a complaint has been done and it's on the agenda for action? You don't need council action to take action against that conversion, whoever owns it, whether it be me or whoever, yourself, whoever. You don't need council action, do you? Or you never have?
No, we're not. I don't know if we're really requesting a council action on this tonight.
Okay.
It's just being placed on there for discussion, I believe.
It's never been brought before. This has never happened before.
Not that I'm aware of.
Because Mr. Chavez and I agree, we should not be treated different. But there is a council member who actually did some building on their building, and they weren't, they put some windows in their house, and they weren't brought before the council. And you handled that case. You helped them, right? And now, as I understand, the Alvarez have never been notified by mail that they have a problem, correct?
I don't
Well,
think so.
let me address how I've personally handled sensitive cases in the Community Development Department in the last 12 years. And I think it's been pretty much common knowledge that whenever I get a complaint that deals with a council member, it's been referred to the administrator's office. What happens from there, unless I get instructed otherwise, I don't, you know.
But it has happened, right, that because he's a council person, you've taken care of it
All
in-house.
complaints that I get on council members, I
But
refer to the
this is-
city
this is
administrator's
different.
office.
Well, you know, I think,
And-
I'm sorry, if I may speak, Joe, and you're right, and I'm not, I guess, as Mr. Chiles mentioned, I guess we have to clean our backyard. I'm not ashamed to tell everyone here that I come from a family of 10. I lived in that garage, and I'm proud to say that, you know, my father is an honorable man. He asked me tonight, he says, Mijo, I'm gonna go over there tonight. I says, Dad, there's no need. You're not the target, I'm the target. You know, and the thing is that it is a shame that sometimes we have to do certain things to get back at someone. But that's okay. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. If there's any action that has to be taken, I am completely, fully responsible for that. I told him, Dad, you know, an explanation, your friends don't need it, and your enemies will never believe it. So, you know,
Well, if I can respond to that one, separate and apart from the house that you lived in, there's two other residences where you didn't live in, and one of those residents are actually getting rentals from them.
Okay.
So this poor me, poor us kind of thing is nothing but a landlord building a substandard dwelling on a house and reaping the rent from that dwelling.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's probably around $500 a month. It's been going on for 9 years. Okay, if you multiply that, excuse me, ma'am. You know what? If you people can't shut up over there in the audience, I'll have you removed. Okay? I'll have you removed.
Are you gonna have me arrested?
Whatever it takes, you're going to get out of here.
Do it.
Okay?
Do it.
You want me to do it?
You know,
Okay.
and I would,
Joe?
you know what?
Joe, would you do me a favor, remove this lady upon her request?
If I can ask something from the audience, please. I think this is something that I think I'm a big boy. I can handle this thing. It's mine and it's nobody else's. And as Mr. Chidas mentioned, in 1995, I granted over a property whom I qualified for my brother for, and they can check in the county recorder's office. I told them to go get that recorded last week. And it is true. My name appears. I helped them close on, and I'm not going to hide to that. The thing is $500 per month for 9 years. Is that I don't know. You know, I don't know where you get the figures from. But I think you can talk to these individuals. I think Mrs. Prida had her niece live in there, and as a matter of fact,
No, I'm sorry, no. I've never had any relatives live on your
Joaquin's
property.
wife,
No, she's no relation to me.
you told me she was.
No, I'm sorry,
Okay.
no. She's
But-
not my niece.
But that's okay.
No relation.
I know the attack is going to be here tonight against me, and it is because it's election. It is because I'm on the council, and nothing else. This is the first time ever that this had ever happened. This is the first time it has ever appeared before the audience. It is to publicly embarrass me. But you know what? I am responsible, not anybody else
That's
out
right.
there, and I would appreciate it. Please let me handle that. I can handle that. I'm not ashamed to say that I live there. And that garage, Mr. Chidas, right there that I lived in, is not rented. And you can check on that. My brother still lives on that property, and his mother-in-law does stay there. She was told she has to get out. That will be vacated and cleaned, and also my brother's, and those will be taken care of. I can tell you.
That's all
the
we're
audience
looking
that.
for.
And not what you're looking for is to get, I don't know, public applause from the audience or embarrass me, publicly embarrass me. You've done a wonderful job, Mr. Chidas, on that. And it's a shame. My father says he's such a nice man. You know what? I talked with Chidas, and he's a real nice man. I says, well, you know, I thought that, but, you know, I don't know why. I don't know what I've done to him, and I don't know why he's attacking my family and dishonoring my family. But that's okay. He will be here at that meeting at 3 p.m., and as a matter of fact, if my whole family has to be here, there's 10 of us together with their husbands. There'll be 30 to 40 people bringing to see if anyone can find anything on my family.
Okay, great. Well, you know, maybe if they're living in a substandard dwelling, you might be saving your family by putting them in a compliant dwelling
Mr.
that's up to the code
What I'm
for
saying is,
people to live in.
if I'm in council and I've done something, I think all of us should come in under the same thing, not just me. Any council in the past or anybody that's had this happen that has to comply on certain things, they have to be brought up
We've
to
talked
plan.
about garage conversion for years, Mr. Alvarez. You sat there and listened to us with the cognizant knowledge that you had these garage conversions, and you had done nothing about it. And nothing's been done from the city.
My
And I'm
understand-
trying to
yeah.
expose this, is tell people, hey, look, just because we're council.
Just because it's election
okay,
time, that's why.
doesn't mean you can go to staff and tell them
Excuse
not
me.
to pursue it.
So, because it is election time,
that's the
that
only
is the reason why somebody turned me in about the windows. Well, let me tell you
And
something.
you
I
pointed,
did
and you
ask,
pointed the finger at me.
and I did ask.
You know,
Excuse me, I'm talking, don't interrupt me. I asked if I needed a permit. They didn't tell me anything. They told me hire a contractor. I didn't see any reason to hire a contractor to replace 4 windows. Okay, so I went ahead and I put in my windows. Now, when I was cited and they told me that I didn't have a permit, I came in and I paid. You understand? And there's no construction now. Mr. Cabrera suggested that I be charged twice, double.
I suggested
Okay?
that.
Why?
I suggested that.
Why?
I
Why
suggested
did you
that.
want them to charge me double?
I suggested
I would have been
that.
willing to pay. I wasn't trying to hide anything,
I
okay?
suggested that.
But I did ask if I needed a permit to put in my windows. And nobody told me
I guess
anything.
the real
I wasn't
irony
trying
is
to
like
hide
right
anything.
next door is a garage conversion. You know, like right next door is
Now,
just a garage conversion.
When they
It's
went
been there
over
for
there
9
to
years.
check on my house, that's when they discovered the garage.
Yes, and
Okay, nobody turned you in.
yes,
I didn't.
Ms. Prida, I was told that your niece, and that's okay, and she has every right. I'm not objecting to that.
What niece?
You- you
No
have-
relative of mine has ever lived, and what difference
Ms.
would it
Frida,
make anyway? It's not my
You don't
garage,
ha-
it's
You don't have
yours.
to tell me, that's okay. And it's not, I don't think the public
I
needs
mean,
to.
my mother could have lived there, it's not my responsibility, it's yours. You're the one that rented it out. I didn't, it's not mine.
As
And
I
let
told
me tell you something, no,
Yeah.
she
That
is
would-
not
yeah.
my niece.
That would be taken care of, and I'm not ashamed to say I come from family of 10, and yes, I lived in a garage, grew up in a garage, very honorable, never stole anything, didn't use drugs, and did what I was supposed to do. And you know what, I don't know if anybody else out there has ever had been faced with the same thing. When you got a big family, you have to accommodate wherever you can.
Well, how long has this been in effect, do you know, Joe?
I don't think that's the issue.
The laws of for garage conversion, they've been in existence way before city incorporation, because back then the city had county ordinances, so they also prohibited garage conversions at that time.
You know, well, that's the thing, Ms. Frida, you've lived in that house, what, for over 20 years?
Where?
20 years on
No,
21st?
no.
10 years?
12 years.
12 years? Why up to now? 12 years, nothing, now it comes up?
Well, the same thing about my windows.
Well, that's what we're asking.
Okay?
Why isn't that now? I mean, you know.
Now, somebody,
I mean-
whoever
Well, it
tried
never
to
should have
turn
been
me
done in
in,
the
trying
first
to
place.
get something on me, they messed you up too
If-
in the process.
And I think what you see.
Paulina Vejas
Yeah.
over there
I-
turned me in and she got you first. That is really something, you know.
Okay.
You should have advised her to keep her mouth shut.
And what you're saying, Ms. Frida, is that, Mr. Chad, you're saying that I converted the garage over, right?
I'm saying you certainly had knowledge that the garage has been converted for the last 9 years.
But you're saying that I myself, or I had some.
Or whoever, it doesn't make any difference. You've got to hired somebody, who knows? But you've had cognizant knowledge that that garage conversion has been there for the last 9 years.
Mr. Chavez, you accomplished your job of embarrassing me. You sure have. But my father
Well-
doesn't feel the same about you. I guess he lost kind of respect.
Well,
You know,
sorry,
and,
I'm sorry. I'm
he
just
wi-
trying to get.
He wished
I'm
we had
just-
handled it like everybody else. And
Well,
go to the
apparently we can't do that because it's been going on for 9 years.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chavez.
Good job.
But where do we stand on the file? What do we
On
have?
this particular address, I believe we're talking about 12309 Pertain Street. Again, we have sent them a letter inviting them for an office conference meeting so we can discuss the garage conversion. On this particular address, the associate planner went out there and they denied him access to the property, but he was able to see that the area was converted. Based on that, we felt that there was a garage conversion, and so what we'd like to do is try to resolve this at the office and trying to gain compliance without having to recourse to other procedures.
I can tell you, Mr. Colombo, that my father will comply. As a matter of fact, speak right now, that thing, you know, they are taking care of the problem.
We received a complaint. We have other properties as well.
Can I ask that question, Mr. Colombo? How many other properties, approximate?
I'm sorry?
How many other properties are in the same condition?
There are several other
What,
properties
20,
that have
30, 40?
several more.
Probably 100. Out of 100, maybe 2. Just these 2 came up. That's what I don't understand. That's why it's kind of hard to swallow.
A lot of them been rectified. In fact, one I know of was rectified for 4 years when the Blinkham came up. That's the reason I'm saying, hey, you know what, there's something wrong in River City. Somehow, some way, this thing never gets taken care of, and it keeps going on and on and on.
Just to give you a chronology on this one here, I did find a date. It was received on 6/30/1999. And we did have a conversation with Mr. Placido on July 15, 1999, and it was indicated that they would take care of it.
Yes. That has never been a rental, Mr. Colombo, and I think Mr. Chavez knows that. My father, father's had that property for years. My brother, his mother-in-law came over, and she's staying in the garage, and she'll be out of there. Never, ever once has it been rented, ever once.
Never.
Doesn't make any difference,
No,
substantive.
I understand.
Rented or not. Okay, the item on number 3. We can move to that. We'll just gauge what staff does. And how long has this been existing?
We're on D3 now?
Yeah.
Okay, D3 is 12309 Pertain. That's the one I guess we were talking about all along.
And D3 is 12522 221st Street.
D2 is the one on 221st Street. That's the complaint
my-
that we recently received.
On my agenda, 12309 221st. 12309 Britain is number 2, 12522 221st.
They're both my family, Mr. Chavez, and those problems will be corrected. As I mentioned right now, I spoke with my dad. I didn't want him to come because he would be just humiliated and embarrassed. and I told my brother, do not show up. I asked for them not to, because I'm sure the proper channels will be taken.
It's flip-flopped. See, D2 is, it's okay. I'm sorry, D3 on the agenda is 12522 221st Street. That's the complaint that we recently received, I believe within the last couple of months. And on that particular property, the associate planner went out as well a couple days ago and was able to get entrance to the garage and had taken some pictures and did find that there was a garage conversion in the garage.
Okay. We will, work with
And
the
again,
property
we
owners.
notified the city administrator.
And let's have that, let's have that corrected. I don't think there has to be any council action. I just want to turn around and make sure that these items are corrected.
Mayor, Council, I think there's a very important element here also that has to be highlighted. Our city attorney's office has made us aware that, because we've heard in other cases where people have said, well, I bought the property that way. Okay, so there has been I would say that there have been some people who have mislead individuals, that it's okay that, you get a house and you get a little apartment in the back, even though it's a garage conversion. It's my understanding that there are no exceptions, even though, for example, garage conversion has been in existence for 40 years.
That was the case here, Mr. Lopez. The property was purchased by my brother. I helped him co-sign, and it was existing. Never did he alter or modify anything. And I don't know. And like I said, ignorance is no excuse. I know, and I did talk to you, and you did say that grandfather clause does not apply to that. I said it will be taken care of. But I mean,
The concern is that there's an assumption on my part that a number of individuals innocently went out, purchased the units thinking that I have
Right.
or that they have a way of having an income plus their own private residence.
Yeah.
Therefore, that has to be addressed, and like I said, no exceptions.
Mr. Lopez, this was also presented to council in 1995. I looked at my paperwork, and my brother did offer it to the city in 1995 because there's a desperate need for parking lot there in that site. So it was offered to the city in 1995. I quit claim in February of 1995, and he had not recorded anything. He had those papers since that time. He found himself, and he said, you know what do I do now? I said, well, you know what, you're gonna have to sell the property. That's as simple as that. He's gonna have to do that. Tear, everything down needs to be torn down. If it had permits for garage, it stays the garage. I really don't know. But that was before the city became incorporated as city. So I don't know how that applies. I really don't. But at the same time, you know what? I agree with Mr. Titus. It should clean up the backyard. And believe me, you can come and check my backyard personally, whatever I have, and see if you find some dirt on it. It's sad that my family had to be brought in this and embarrassed, but I apologize to my family out there, because I know they're watching. I really, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize to you. If I wasn't in council, you would not be embarrassed here tonight.
Sad as it might seem, Mr. Alvarez
It
has
is
been a real estate agent longer than I have, and I know that whenever you buy a house, the
That
buyer,
has
the
nothing to
buyer,
do.
the buyer's responsibility to check all permits and check square footage is probably the first commandment in every transaction. And I'm sure Mr. Alvarez knows this better than I do.
And that
okay?
was in 1998 of March is when that took place, Mr. Chavez. Before it was the sellers, now it's the buyer.
And permits have to be checked. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Items E1 through 3.
Make the motion on
Second.
the general fund account.
Mayor, just on the consent calendar, there is no presentation of minutes, so that would be deleted from the consent calendar. So you would only be approving 1 and 3, just for the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make the motion on number 1, the neighborhood block cleanup, transferring $25,000 from the general fund to help with the cleaning up.
And item 3?
And 3, status of current recruitment of citywide positions. What's that?
It's an informative document to tell us what, where we're at with recruitment of citywide positions.
Okay, I'll make the motion on that too.
Um,
1 and 3.
I have a question on consent calendar 1. The cleanup, is it gonna be for 2 days or just 1 day?
The recommendation is for a 1 day on a Saturday.
Oh, no.
Well, a lot of people work on Saturday.
No, that would be defeating our purpose. We need it for 2 days. It's always been for 2 days.
What's the date of that?
The dates are outlined on the last page, which is a map, and we had divided the city into 12 districts, whereby we would be putting bins
And
throughout
we'll
the
do
city.
the whole city one time.
We would, no, this is going back to putting the bins in front of the residences. So this would be done in
But it's always-
Well,
different dates.
can we just approve it for now, and then you can come back to us with the cost estimation if it's needed for the second day?
We have that attached for a second day.
Okay, good.
Can I ask, Mr. Colombo, you have two graphs there. One is neighborhood block cleanup, option 1 and option 2. Option 1 is what we've been doing, correct?
Option 1 is the method where we put the bins at the Public Works yard or by the parking lot, and we'll have it on a Saturday and Sunday. Option 2 is where we divide the city into 12 districts and have individual block cleanups in front of the residences. And it's divided into a Saturday-only cost and a Saturday and Sunday cost.
And we're talking about having 2 per year on option 1 at $35,750.
Well, what we're recommending per council's direction at the last budget hearing is, the direction I was given the staff was to go back to the old method of having the block cleanup in front of the residences. That was the direction that the council had given us. And we're recommending that we do it on a Saturday. If the council wants to recommend and do both Saturday and Sunday, that's the pleasure of the council.
Yeah, the cost
It
doubles when
has
it's 2
always
days.
been that
cost
way.
would be-
Wasn't it 2 days, Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, but look at the difference in the cost.
Yeah, it doubles.
More than that.
Yeah.
We're talking,
Do we have the money to do this program?
I don't know about Saturday and Sunday.
The monies have been identified in regards to a 1 day. If you are looking at 2 days,
That's a lot
then
of money.
we need to go back and,
We have identified the monies for just the one Saturday, doing the 12 districts.
And you still need the 25,000 from general fund
Right,
to handle the 1 day.
the 1 day.
in the 12 districts, yes.
Joe,
Well, it looks like we can only have 1 day, Patrick.
in those 12 districts, Joe, how many bins will be
Yeah.
out there?
We'll try to
1
put
day's better than none
two,
at
we'll try
all.
to put 2 per block.
Thank you.
Some blocks may have more, some less, depending on the size of the district.
You know, I think even if you do 1 day, it's best to reach out to the community
If they
and
put
go
the
out
bins
to
over
make
here
sure
at
that
City
they,
Hall.
they clean their area because,
Like they did
one of the things
before.
that's happened is people that don't have trucks and can easily
35,000
put it
for 2
the
days.
closest to them.
No,
Because I
one.
know when I did that,
2 days.
volunteer cleanup on 1 street, there was people with wheelbarrows, there was
problem is
people
there's
with
not too many
carts
people
dumping
out
stuff. So I
away
think that's
and
more of a
getting
benefit.
the stuff that-
We'll try to have at least 2 bins
And-
on
and
the block,
traffic gets horrendous.
where there'll be one on the
I
north
mean,
side, one on the south, and then on east and
Trying to
west.
get to the
It'll be-
people.
How about staff?
The staff, there'll be a person per bin, and then there'll be the entire public works crew out there going around with the skip loader and bobcat. There'll be plenty of staff out there.
Can anyone volunteer on those?
We'll have to sign the necessary forms, and it has to be approved by the administrator.
I think if you were to get waiver forms, if Mr. Kamala could draft something for us to get some waivers, if someone would want to volunteer and waive the city of any claim or any liability, I think that would be in order. I know that I can certainly get some people to help with that.
So we won't be able to have them on the ball. But what about if there is a neighborhood block cleanup for 1 day on the blocks? How much is that? Because you said option 2 is for 2 days, Saturday.
Option two.
Oh, wait a minute,
is-
total for the year, if you, oh, I see. If you did Saturday and Sunday, it's 145, and then Saturday only is 72,600.
They still double from the two per year.
Yeah, people like to have it on the blocks, though.
Of course, but look at the cost. I'm concerned about the money. Do we have it, or?
Once again, as stated earlier, the monies have been identified to go out to the neighborhoods for the purpose of one day.
One day,
With option two.
for the 72,600.
Yes, sir.
Right. We have a combination of CDBG monies that are being used, and then at the budget hearings, the council had authorized $25,000 for this program, and now we're requesting an additional $25,000, which we're taking out of a planning account.
Joe, how many bins did you have this past cleanup on those 2 days?
Probably close to 60, I don't recall the exact amount.
60. So if you had 60, see, that's.
It varies, it's gonna depend on the demand.
Okay.
There's gonna be discretion out there that, if there's a long line of cars out there wanting to unload their unwanted trash, then we'll try to put more bins to try to accommodate them.
Okay. On this one, there'll be 12 sites, 24 bins, is that my understanding? Or it'll be 12 bins?
Some sites will have more than 12 bins, because the blocks are a lot bigger.
Okay,
But we're not gonna be rotating the bins as we do in the public works yard. The bin will just be placed there once, and that's it.
and that's it.
And once it's filled, that's it.
Public Works will try to locate a bin that's not being used as much and try to dump it in there. But we're not gonna let the trash just stay out there stagnant out in the street. So we'll find a way to get rid of the trash.
So you need an additional $46,850 if you're looking at Saturday only on the blocks.
As compared to option one, but for purposes of budget, we only need $25,000 because the council had already approved the $25,000 when they approved the budget.
In addition to 25 above the CDBG.
Okay, so that would mean that the 35,000 we're already budgeted for.
We're actually budgeted for, close to, I believe, 50, because we had budgeted the 22,000 that we already have through CDBG, and then we had included an additional $25,000.
Does it look like you're gonna spend all your CDBG money?
We can't allocate any more than $22,000 in that particular line item because it's a public service. We can't exceed 10% of the total CDBG allocation. Because if we could put more money into the program, we would, but we can't.
Okay, so we're talking,
This is not going to increase the cost of our expenditures in the overall budget. What we're doing is making a reallocation of the last $25,000 between one department's budget and another department's budget. We have set up originally $47,000 for this cleanup by adding $25,000 during the budget hearings because you heard public comment and responded to that. This here is a transfer between the planning budget, of which is part will not be used, and therefore, if you want to do this option two, it's not, the expenditures will remain the same. However, we'll be able to do this program if you want to do it option two Saturdays only. If you go to Sunday, we're going to have to go looking for $75,000.
right, that's what I'm saying.
But
We'd
if
be
you
better
do
off-
option, so, I don't know the city that well as you folks do up there. Do you want to have just one day but going into the actual areas, or do you want to have the other option of just having it here in the city yard area? I think that's the determination
I
that's really
think
going to
the
make.
council was committed to try to go out to the actual areas, but we made that commitment, and I want to hold to my word. I'd like to hold to my word, and if we can do that within the budget and go out at least one day out there for a cleanup, I think that would be the most advantageous for our residents.
And we're prepared to do that.
Okay.
Can
So-
make the motion.
Get a motion for
One day,
option two Saturday only?
Saturday only.
I'll second that. I think that's what we need,
Okay.
actually.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, so ordered.
Is that in reference to 1 and 3?
That was just,
That was one.
There was one.
Item 3. I'll entertain a
someone
motion
talk
to
about
receive and
that?
file.
Yeah, but I don't quite understand that. Status of current recruitment of citywide positions. What's citywide positions?
I'm gonna ask Mr. Marcus.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The status of current recruitment of citywide positions are all the vacancies that the city had in relation to the different departments. We had several vacancies in Transportation Department, Human Services, Public Works, and we're currently doing our best job possible to fill them. This staff report here entails each position and the current status. We are currently promoting, or actually, we do have them posted here on site. City policy requires that we do fly all job classifications in-house first for 4 days. So we have been following procedure, and several of the positions are also out. Some of the resources we're using are the local community colleges. We're also putting advertisements in the local papers, the LA Times, Orange County Register, Press Telegram.
And this was all in our budget?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they're all within
Motion.
budget.
I have a question, Mr. Marquez. What is the Healthy Start Coordinator?
This past year, the city secured a grant for $30,000 through our Assembly member Sally Havis from the Department of Health Services with the state, and we're currently recruiting for a person to coordinate the program, be responsible for the duties related to it. The program entails, basically medical insurance, low-cost medical insurance for residents.
Councilmember Cabrera, you recall Assemblyman Alan Lowenthal came to a meeting here for the purpose of making the public aware as to the Healthy Start and the insurance that's available to young people. Basically, it's an insurance program that's for low to moderate income for individuals that cannot afford the insurance for their children, and therefore this is available. The purpose of the Healthy Start, the grant that we received from Assemblywoman Sally Havas, is to go out there into the community, door to door, and make the residents aware of such a program. It's a fantastic program because, as we all know, insurance is very high. Therefore, if I recall right, they were sometimes it was like $12 a month to insure a child. I don't want to be held to the $12, but it was a very low figure, and so that's what the purpose of this position is.
I think there's also a program through the WIC program that they do that too. 'Cause I know people that are on the programs, and I think they've been offered, and I think it's great.
Right. The thing though is that we just want to make sure that even individuals who are not in the WIC program.
Correct.
Okay, so basically, as the representative from the State Department that our Assemblyman Lowenthal brought, they really encourage, even if you think you don't qualify, apply for it. Therefore, if you think you're even too high or as far as income, still apply for it, because there's a great deal of money sitting out there for insurance purposes for children that are not being utilized.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, Mr. Lopez, it was like $4.60 per month per child, and that's to cover medical, dental, and vision, and it's a maximum of $21 per family, but they had to be under a certain income bracket, and the income bracket was not very low. It was a little bit higher than the average, so actually, depending on the children that they had, it's an excellent program.
Another thing I encourage is people that are going through their immigration status that feel they have to be citizens, because once at a time the Department of Justice would deny them citizenship or would take away their residency if they found that they got public assistance. This is not public assistance. They're paying $4.50, and actually it does not hold them harmless of applying or receiving their citizenship.
Okay,
So they-
I'm glad you brought that out, because I think it's very important to make everyone aware, and that's what this position will do, is that whether you're a resident, or a citizen or not a citizen, that is not related to
There's
the
not-
issue.
And I think they're also going even to non-resident, because they want to make sure that everyone's a healthy child, and that's the purpose that they were doing, because they were going to correct that. That was one of my questions that I asked the Assemblyman Lowenthal. But I would encourage anyone that knows of someone that may take advantage of the service to do it, and do it. And I'd like to say it in Spanish, if I may, este de lo que estamos hablando hoy es de un programa que viene del condado para las familias que tienen niños que no pueden pagar para aseguranza. El Estado les ha dado dinero al condado para que apliquen las familias. Creo que el costo es como $4.60 por niño y $21 por familia. Y con esto le cubre dental, la vista y medical. Así es de que tomen ventaja de esto y para que nuestros hijos tengan una mejor vida y de buena salud.
If I may also, just real quick here, and that's basically, this elected body, the mayor and council here, should be highly commended. Basically, this status report was to bring to the attention that, you all have committed as far as services to the city, thereby you have increased to date from eight employees in a certain department to 26. But keep aware that, please note that you are looking at an additional 10 people, thereby you're going from 8 employees to 36 employees, thereby being able to provide a significant service to the members of the community, especially to the children.
Real quick question on the cable program specialist. How are we doing with that?
I'm proud to say that the individual, there was a recruitment, and individuals highly qualified applied. The bottom line is that at the next regular council meeting, the individual will be here. Mr. Marcus has been working extremely hard in order to get our cable system, also with the consultant, and they're almost done with that. So what you have here is that at the next council meeting, the young lady who has a great deal of experience, also a degree from Cal State Long Beach, of course, but no. Anyway, so she will be here at the next regular meeting. And if I may, we're also almost done with the drop-in center, the computer drop-in center. In fact, Mr. Marcus made me aware that UPS is ready to deliver tomorrow probably 80 boxes, thereby which contain about 23 computers. The carpet has been put in, the room's been already repaired. The next issue, I understand there's a delay as far as the tables. Okay, so that's what we're waiting for. The tables will be utilized. Thereby, you all as a body, needless to say, should be very proud. You're going to provide a service that is going to be fantastic for the kids and for the adults here.
Mr. Lopez, I certainly thank you for applauding and patting us in the back, but I think the people that really deserve the pat in the back has been Mr. Lopez, Mr. Marcus, and the staff. Never before did we take advantage of writing for grants to make sure our services are being taken care of. When Mr. Lopez came in, that was one of the objectives, and one of the things I agree with is there's so much money out there, we just have to make sure that we apply for it. I know Mr. Marcus has helped a great deal in putting these grants together, Mr. Montenegro. That's the thing. Sometimes services are not done because maybe there's a failure to apply for such grants. Now that Mr. Lopez is here, I commend you, and it's really an honor to have you, Mr. Lopez, in the city. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
He's brought in a lot.
Good job.
This city.
Good job. Anyway, I guess the next item. Oh, we have a motion?
Yes.
And a second, right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. So, huh? Oh, I thought you had a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all right. I guess we're into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, we will have a closed session after our redevelopment agency agenda.
Okay. Any oral staff reports? Seeing none. Any oral council reports? Just have to make one mention, and that's the status of our roof project. Do we have any status on the roof project?
Yeah, we're gonna be, we have retained an architect to prepare the plans and specs through Willdan. The cost of that will be approximately $9,000, and that'll be billed through Willdan. That's to do the re-roofing of the entire city administration building, and I believe it also includes the public works area. In addition, there are some other roofs that need to be replaced, and that's, I believe, the three buildings in the recreational facilities, or at the parks.
Yeah, the snack bars,
And
huh?
we're gonna be doing those immediately.
Yeah, we need those really done.
We're trying to get an estimate right now, what is it gonna cost to get that done, and if it's under a certain budget amount, the city administrator can just outright authorize that.
Okay, well, if we can get those done, I sure would appreciate that, that's for sure. A good thing. Okay. Thank you very
One
much.
more item on that, if it does come out to just slightly higher than the authorized amount, I am going to proceed because we consider that to be an emergency. And by that, I mean, I'll bring it back to you, I'll make you all aware, but in the interest of time and getting it repaired,
Yeah, it has to be
we've already
done.
had some challenges with rain.
Okay. Very good. Okay,
I have, Mr. Mayor, if I could, Mr. Lopez and I talked about this. Recently, we found out that we're losing the home base. And Mr. Lopez, you said that you're gonna put together a job fair.
Yes, Mayor and Council, sorry to say that, I'm sure we've all read that 16 home bases were being closed down. Some of them will be converted to specialty stores. This one here is not to be under that classification. We've gone out there, I took Mr. Figueroa and Mr. Marcus with me. We met with the manager of the home base. We're looking at 105 jobs, which is a very significant amount. Let me put it to you this way. One job is significant. You're the one being unemployed, it's significant. And so what we're going to do is that staff we plan to have a job fair and also try to bring in EDD, PIC, and everyone else for the purpose of assisting those 105. A number of those positions will be moving on to other home bases, but not all of them. The other thing, very important, and I'm really glad for the employees, is that the positions itself won't terminate until February the 5th, thereby after the holidays, thank God. But also, I'll be contacting the County Economic Development Corporation. Sometimes I get a flyer from them requesting, wanting to know if we have a large building that's available for lease, because some business has contacted them. And so I'm going to see, work with home base and see what their plans are on the building, and if they're going to vacate it, we need to get another business in there. Home base represents, at this time, 19% of our sales tax. That's a very significant amount for a small city. So, in fact, they were our #1 sales tax producer. But my biggest concern is the 105 jobs. And so we'll go see, what we can do.
Yeah.
A lot of those people that you're talking about are local people that walk to work, so,
Right.
so it's gonna be different now if they're
Right.
gonna have to drive the freeway. So hopefully we can get them,
Well, like I said, our job fair,
We plan to already, start, shopping centers anywhere. One of the things also we did is that we met with Ron, the manager from the casino, because as you know, they're expanding, thereby they're hiring more people, and they're more than willing to work with us to see, if any of those individuals at home base would be interested in applying for positions.
And I hope they're included in the job fair.
Yes, by us, they've even have offered that they'll participate from a fiscal point of view.
Mr. Lopez, you mentioned PIC, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring it up anyways. 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, there was a gentleman that came in, a representative from PIC. He said within 3 weeks, that office will be open in operation. It's still closed, it hasn't opened, and no operation.
I understand what you're saying.
Well, and I'm sorry, if I may.
I'm sorry.
I wonder, is there any way, any funds that they get, because they use our statistics, our kids, our family, for their benefit, and I really see their administration high-paying salaries, and really maybe the money is not used properly. How can we get together with our legislators to make sure that the cities that get used as statistics, that money stays in the city? In other words, shouldn't go to private industry council, it should stay here in this community.
Mayor and Council, as an informational item, there's a committee made up of city managers that also have the same concern that they are not providing the proper programs for the cities within this area. So what's happened here is that I believe they'll be going before the policy board to put them on notice.
I haven't been called. I'm one of those boards that haven't been called to any meetings.
Well, no, I don't know about, as far as the individual board members or policy board members, but I'm referring to that this committee representative, which is Mike Egan from the city of Bellflower, will be addressing the issue as to the lack of services that are being provided to our residents in those 7 cities. One of the determinations which has been made is that more services are being provided to individuals outside of the 7 cities, which should not be taking place thereby. And as far as when Mr. Dang, I believe was the name.
He said 3 weeks.
Yes, and that's been also, that'll be transmitted to them also.
But
as a reminder that
false promises have been since day one. When I came in 1997, I approached 58 different nonprofit organizations which they used our statistics. There was only 2 that serviced Hawaiian Gardens out of 58. And this Private Industry Council said, well, because we never get anybody from your city. I said, what's your outreach? Then they started to come in and actually try to see if they could do some work. And there's other offices that do service our residents, but this agency has not, and I think there are high-paying salaries on some of these staff members. Maybe I should apply there. That's probably what's needed. But I think it should be taken away, and this is not the only city. I spoke with neighboring cities, council members, and they feel exactly the same way.
And that's
How
why
can it be taken away and brought back to the community?
And that's one of the main reasons why the City Managers Committee has been, in order to address that. If I may just real quick here also, I really appreciate the comments that were made as to, accomplishments. But like always, any administrator is only as good as his personnel, and this city should be very proud to have the personnel they have.
And I wish we were better, Tony. I honestly can say, I wish we were better to you.
No, thank you. I believe better to John.
John.
I'll vote for that, John.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and City Council, I just like to remind you that next Tuesday is the seniors Christmas luncheon at the Senior Center at 11 a.m. And also regarding the senior programs, Senior Program Coordinator Ira Barba have been trying hard to try to get some flu vaccination for our seniors, but the only response we get is still it's a shortage. I know the city administrator approached me to see if we can find where we can purchase them, but the issue is that there is a shortage.
You're going to do the injection?
Mayor and Council, if I may also, when Mr. Montenegro made me aware of this, I know myself, the doctor I go to, I was able to get a flu shot, which indicates to me that they are available, but it seems that they're being made available not on a nonprofit, but more so a for-profit situation. We want to see about identifying some funding source
you know, for a senior citizen, for anyone, but especially a senior citizen, to get the flu can be very, you know, dangerous. And so, in lieu of, you know, going on like we have, I'd like to, you know, I'll come back to you all, or Mr. Montenegro will come back, once we've been able to identify the funding and the total cost to see if we can provide the flu shot for our senior citizens.
Great. I'm certainly for that. Okay, so with that, we'll open up the RDA meeting. I'll call it to order. Roll call, please.
Director Betty Schultz,
Here.
Director Cabrera,
Here.
Director Alvarez,
Here.
Vice Chairman Frida,
Here.
Director Chavez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is oral communications or items on the agenda. 3 minutes per person, 15 minutes total. Please state your name and your address. Seeing none,
Excuse me.
I'll go to, oh, here we go.
Kathy Navejas, 12327 East 223rd Street. I'm noticing here on the closed session, I know a few months ago at one of the meetings that the mayor informed the community that all the lawsuits had been handled and everybody had been paid and everybody in the center had been paid. But on the agenda tonight, it looks like Plowboys is still has not been finalized. So just want to clear that up for the community, that a lot of people and a lot of businesses in this community have been desperately hurt and have really gone through some very tough situations. Thank you.
Clarify that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just with respect to the closed session, I can't go into the details, but the item on the closed session really has nothing to do with the judgment. The judgment has been paid. These have to do with a different aspect of that litigation. But there was $2 million that were paid on this judgment, and this agency did have that satisfied. So all the judgments on the inverse cases have been paid. This is just an incidental matter that needs to be cleared up with the agency.
Thank you, John. Okay, oral communications, items not on the agenda. 3 minutes per person, 15 minutes total.
Alan Kelko, 21930 Horst Avenue. I hope maybe tonight we can get something clarified. I was speaking to some of the people in the planning department, and they were telling me something that the state of California is recommending that, I don't know, within the next 5-10 years, we're supposed to build another 400 units in this community. And I wonder where. You know, I mean, this city is jam-packed as it is. I think if like Mr. Alvarez, if you lead the way, you know, getting these garage conversions taken care of, I know you're very honorable. You know, the city's jam-packed. You drive down some of these streets, where the point it should almost be one way. I mean, basically, you have to yield half the time when you drive down the street. So I don't understand how we can, you know, build 200, 300, 400 more units on top of what we have already. I would hate to see streets like 213th, 214th, Hawaiian Avenue become high density. And so I hope that this council and all future councils will resist this request by the state, this silly projection, which does not make any sense. We're 9/10 of a square mile. We probably have over 16,000 people here. Maybe by the census we'll have 20,000 people, who knows? But I don't know how many more people we can cram into this community and keep some halfway decent quality of life here. So, you know, maybe I'm overreacting, but what I hear that the state is saying that in the future we have to build all these additional units on top of what we already have. I think that would really ruin the quality of life here. And I know that we have lobbyists in Sacramento that maybe we can instruct to see if, you know, we could get a waiver or something on this. But I think that suggestion by the state that we build that many more units in this community is totally inappropriate. And like I said, I hope that this council and all future councils will resist that, even if it means that we lose some funding from the state, because if you just keep on building more units and cramming more people in here, you're really going to ruin the quality of life. As it is, it's very congested here, and we have our hands full with what we have. Thank you.
Well, you certainly agree with that, and we wouldn't want to turn around and build anymore.
Items not on the agenda. Couple of things that I would just like to suggest from the comments you said earlier on those flu shots, Tony Lopez. The easiest way to get access is through the county. They should provide that because you cannot get those. We work for the second largest healthcare industry in the nation. You can't get any of them now. They're completely sold out, but you can get them through the county for any type of high-risk people, and seniors are considered high risk, and the county does have first access to them. So I would call your county people, and they can get that for you immediately.
What department would that be, Mr. Vance?
Health Department.
Department of Health Services.
Health Department, very simple. The other item is on the issues dealing with code enforcement issues in the redevelopment agency. I think that since you're looking at converted garages, there are several issues not only with converted garages, but people who have trailers on their property. Now, I know for a fact that the mayor has for years had a trailer on his property and had employees live there, residents live there, and that is exactly the same as a garage conversion. So in part of this supposable clean up our backyard, let's don't point fingers, there's an old saying, Leonard, when you point the finger forward, there's three pointing back. Let's send code enforcement.
Since you're pointing the finger right now.
Let's
that's why I got
send
three
code
pointing back.
enforcement and look in trailers. Thank you.
I've discussed that issue with the community development director. He's assured me that my trailer being parked in my driveway is okay and legal.
Hi, Glenn Cornejo, 12334 212th Street. Just like to remind you that our SMATH tournament went real well with our kids. We took third place Division A. That's the 7th and 8th graders. Okay, also like to remind you our volleyball team for our 6th graders. They did good, wonderful team. Jennifer Urbano did a good job with the girls. They came in third, so they recognized us today at SMATH. So I'd like to let you know that the city of Santa Fe really likes what they see on our sports. So our sports are moving up. After 2 years, we're starting to get to known again. Everybody's starting to know us. Thank you.
Good job. Okay. Under new business, under B1, approval of Reso 2026 pre-issued warrants for an amount of $14,589.25.
Make motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the issue? If none, roll call vote, please.
Director Cabrera,
Aye.
Director Alvarez,
Yes.
Director Schultz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Member Frida,
Here.
Chair Member Chávez,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, skipping to past C and D, there's no items. E, under closed session. We can break for closed session at this time, and we'll come back.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to state that in closed session, under item E1, property 22308 Violeta, I have a possible conflict because I own property both in front and in the back of that property. So I wish to be excused from closed session on that item.
All right. Okay, we'll break for closed session at this time.